When we started these support groups in 2006, the women we started working with, these are the people that had lost their children. We never think that you are the one that is going to bury your child.
They were in a very desperate state, with a lot of poverty around them, with the children not going to school around them, with no essential commodities around them. Some of them didn't have homes to live in. It was a very difficult situation.
On average, you talk of 6 or more children that were now being cared by a grandmother. Coupled with that bereavement, they felt that they had no skills, they felt that they had no any potential. And so this is the situation where we started with grandmothers.
The foundation was just a few years into its work of supporting grassroots organizations at the center of the AIDS pandemic, organizations who are deeply connected to their communities. And it became undeniable that women, and often grandmothers, were the ones shouldering the burden.
I started to receive in my inbox proposals from partners and potential partners, community-based organizations, and they had phrases like parenting workshops, caring for the caregivers, parenting support groups. And we said to them, are these grandmothers that you're talking about? And they said, well, of course it's grandmothers, that's obvious. And my question was, but why aren't you saying grandmothers? And project after project, organization after organization said the same thing, which was nobody's interested in supporting grandmothers.
Spontaneously in Canada, in the way these things work, a number of grandmothers groups have sprung up. In Kamloops and Nanaimo and Saskatoon and Montreal, grandmothers groups who almost intuitively understand that they want to show solidarity with the grandmothers of Africa. We should launch a campaign, Grandmothers to Grandmothers, and I hope that we will have grandmothers groups in every jurisdiction across the country, and we also expect to raise significant resources so that we can respond to the immediate needs.
Ilana and Stephen knew instantly they wanted to support the grandmothers and to give Canadians the opportunity to see firsthand how powerful African grandmothers were.
Grannies in Canada had heard that in Africa, it's the grannies that are taking care of their grandchildren. They wanted to hear the stories from the grandmothers themselves.
So in August 2006, on the eve of the International AIDS Conference, 100 African grandmothers arrived in Toronto, along with staff from the Foundation's partners.
They were able to work with the grandmothers to get birth certificates for those who didn't have them, in order to get passports, to get visas, to get on planes for the first time, to have the support that they needed to leave children behind, to make sure that the community was looking after those children in their absence. From the very get-go, we understood as Canadians that they were the ones who should drive the agenda, who must drive the agenda.
I want, obviously, to welcome all of you here with all my heart, all of the magnificent grandmothers from Africa, from whom I personally have learned so much.
As world leaders were preparing to discuss the AIDS crisis, grandmothers made it clear they too were experts.
We want to be able to emerge on Sunday morning with a kind of statement that comes from the conference, which will give the world and the International AIDS Conference next week a sense of what was accomplished here, so that your words, your views, your thoughts, your instincts, your programs, your assertion of needs and rights, the African Grannies agenda, having been embraced by Canada, will be then put to the world.
In workshops organized and led by the grandmothers themselves, the African women shared the grief and pain of burying their own children, the hardship of not having the resources to feed and clothe and send their grandchildren to school, and the isolation and stigma of HIV and AIDS.
some of us, especially in Africa, have lost people in their families, and some of us are staying with children because their parents have died. Now what we're going to do today is just to discuss how we managed to help those children through that painful moment of grieving and mourning. We were told before we came to Canada that we were given topics because each organization would choose a topic to talk about. From that, we're able to learn of what was happening in other countries and also talk about what was happening in your country. That on its own helped us a lot, and we really treasured that.
They are saying that we have to care for the orphans. No matter what condition we have to care for the orphans. And then after that, we should know that these orphans are the future of tomorrow.
Even though parts of it were so painfully sad, kept saying that, look at these remarkable women. And they all made it very clear that they were not seeking pity. And I think that really struck me, these resilient women who were finding ways to speak out and say, let's work together. We can't do this alone.
Ngajabula kakhulu ukuqala kwami. Ngangimangala ukuthi ngawuhamba ngani ukuya eKhanada. Nabathi ngawugibela indiza ngathi oh my god ngaba ngiyosheka le. Ethulu. Aha sahamba. Kumgcoka manje kakhulu lokuthi sihlangane sibogogo sinetinkinga emakhaya. Ufaneleke lo munye utawukhuluma ukhande ethi siyakwelapha kulo inkinga lokubhekene nayo.
The grandmothers were coming together and looking after each other, hearing each other's stories and having that strength and companionship of each other. We cried, we laughed, we sang, and it was just an amazing time.
On the streets of downtown Toronto, the grandmothers marched. In a wave of songs and chants, they let world leaders know that grandmothers would no longer be invisible in the fight against AIDS.
That was amazing. So many people came, and all the African grandmothers, of course, they know how to sing and dance. There was not despair there. There was hope, and there was such feeling of love towards each other and caring.
The gathering culminated in a statement written by the grandmothers and delivered to the world.
I got the chance to be with Mama Joyce, who is really a remarkable woman.
Each of our stories is different. Each of our experiences is unique. And yet we are here as representatives of countless women who share in our tragedy. For every grandmother here today, there are 50, 60, 70,000 at home.
And when we were asked to do the Toronto Statement, she and I spent a considerable amount of time together reading it, reviewing it, going over it, and then to be placed at the mic to do it together was remarkable.
We are strong, we are determined, we are resourceful, we are creative, we are resilient, and we have the wisdom that comes with age and experience.
It was exciting, enriching, and very emotional, and said to the world, here we are, and we're going to work on this together. We have a cause, and it's a valuable one.
May this be the dawn of the grandmothers movement.